Hey guys, Mr. AFK here, and today I've got a build for Anubis. This is a build that I came up with by myself. I haven't watched any YouTubers, anything like that recently. I haven't seen this online, so as far as I know, this is mine. But I decided to share it with you guys because I've been having a lot of fun with this build. Surprisingly, there are no stacking items if you don't want them, and it does a lot of damage. But before I get into the build, I do want to specify this is my personal build. It's not going to be right for everyone, so if you feel like some items need to be removed or changed or swapped around, go ahead and do so. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So the first item in this build is Bancroft's Talon, and the reason for that is it gives you 100 magical power, 15% magical lifesteal, and its passive is absolutely insane. You gain additional power and lifesteal scaled from missing health. So basically, the lower your health is, the more damage and lifesteal you're going to get back from it. And the cool thing is, Anubis' passive amplifies that lifesteal, so your lifesteal will be crazy insane when you're in a fight and your health is dropping. Obviously, this isn't going to protect you from nuke abilities or instant removal like Loki does. But in an extended fight, it's going to help you out a lot. So that's the first item. The second item are the Shoes of Focus. You get some power, some mana, cooldown, movement speed. I picked these purely because of the cooldown and the mana. Early game, it's pretty hard for Anubis to poke the enemy and to clear wave while having no mana. And the cooldown is also nice to have as well because I don't have any other cooldown in this build. So the third item is a Gem of Isolation. It gives you some health, some power, and some crowd control reduction, which again, with Anubis' passive, works well. Also, it gives you crowd control of sorts by giving you a slow on all of your abilities. The only time that you wouldn't want to build Gem of Isolation is if you're going against, I'll use Loki as an example again. Since he does so much damage, you want to try to have more health than he can do damage to. And Warlock Sash gets that job done a lot better than Gem. So if you're going against a team that has an assassin or a hunter, someone who does a lot of damage in a short amount of time, go Warlocks. Warlocks will make you slightly tankier. You'll maybe be able to live better. Anubis is pretty squishy, so don't count on it, but if you're going to give it your best shot, use Warlocks. So the next two items are actually, they can be 2 out of 4 items in my opinion. So if you look at any of the penetration items, these are the 3 most commonly used ones for me. Any 2 of these 3 or 4 work great. So typically I go with the Obsidian Shard. It lets me deal with the tanks better, or like the Sylvanuses, the Hercules, that sort of stuff. And then the secondary one is just kind of to add an extra kick to the first one. So otherwise, if let's say they don't have any tanks, you could probably just skip Obsidian Shard and go for Spear of the Magus. Or if they have an Aphrodite or someone that heals a lot, Shang-A perhaps, you could swap out Spear of Desolation for Divine Ruin. Basically, you can pick whatever you think you need in a certain situation, but these 3 typically will handle you very well. Then the last item is Rod of Tahuti. It just gives you a massive power increase, and basically that's the build. So Anubis' kit isn't too complicated. You've got a stun, you've got some AoE damage that you channel. You're stuck while you're channeling though. Then you've got this. You can walk away from it. Pretty easy. His ultimate is one of the most damaging ultimates in the game, but it is one of the hardest to actually hit. You're just kind of a laser, and it's hard to pinpoint that damage down perfectly. But with this build, all of his abilities do insane amounts of damage, and I'll show you what I mean over here. Now, I do have to say the Rod does not have any armor or anything like that, but seeing as how it's a mage over there, that probably the results would be basically the same against a real player with actual items. So against the Odins, probably would have to do this, and then they would probably end up dying. But yeah, so that's my build for Anubis. Highly damaging, no stacks. The only downsides to it are it's very glass cannon. So if you take any large amounts of damage quickly, you're not going to be able to survive. Your stun is a huge part of your kit. So I guess this isn't really a downside to the build, just a downside to Anubis overall. If you can't hit the stun, you're not going to survive. And another thing with this build that is a downside is early game you don't have very much mana. You have a lot of power, but you don't have mana, so you're constantly having to watch that. But anyway, I've got some clips to show you guys of this build in action. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike, obviously give it a thumbs down. If you did modify this build, or if you found better items, or if you used this build and you liked it, just let me know in the comments. I like to hear from you guys. It's always interesting to get your guys' opinion on stuff. Well, that's it for me. Here's the clips.